Looking good here on part 8 of the gates for the DNR. You can see now where I put together these McStabinator devices and what they're for. Another part of that to do what I've done here, as you can see, I put tiny pad eyes on those gates, and that's in right in the location where I needed them to be lifted with the hoist and pretty much hang in that position that the gates are in on the trailer right there. So you can see what I've done is one at a time. I've used the hoist to paint a gate. I hold it there. I can paint the whole thing. I would start out with the gate hoisted up quite high and paint the bottom, and then I would lower it down, and I could, get everything in one lick, and then I would carefully set it on the stabinator on the trailer, and since then I haven't touched it, which is, that's kind of what I was talking about before, is that when once you get wet paint on something, you need to have a plan what you're going to do with it. All right, then. The next part of my plan here is going to be some doozing. You can see here, I done put the grease fittings in. Paint's pretty much dry, as far as dry to the touch, so I can start putting grease in these sleeves. And I think, I don't know how much grease it's going to take that I'm going to want to put in there, but I'm guessing you could probably fit a whole tube of grease in each one of those. And I need to get it in there now, because if you take these outside and they get cold, I think it'll be even harder to get the grease in there where it needs to be. So the next part of my plan, I went to the place where you get this stuff, and I got one of these that you don't have to pump, and I wanted to get some of that grease at the same place where it was cheap, and they were out. I asked the guy, he said, man, we ain't got no grease and we can't get none in, and there for a while we were the only one that had grease, and now everybody else has got grease and we don't. So I had to go to the other place where you get cheap stuff, and I got that. And at the first place where I went to get cheap stuff, I got one of these, and I actually already have one. But what I do every once in a while when I can't get a jar open in the break room, I got to come in here and get into my toolbox and get my oil filter wrench and use it to open the lid on a mason jar or something. So this is the kind of uptown I am now. I can afford to buy another one of these just to put in the break room to open jars with. Actually, I'm going to put this in there now before I get it dirty. So I got this thing put together. I didn't read no constructions. I was just looking here at the box, and the tube where you put the grease in, it works just like a regular grease gun. There wasn't any surprises with it. You unscrew that thing, pull the T-handle back, put your tube of grease in, pop the cap off the grease, screw it back in, slide your T-handle back forward. All of that was no surprises. I was wondering where the adjustment was to set how much grease you want to come out, and I see it says here variable speed trigger. So if that means that the further you pull the trigger, the more grease comes out, then that's even better, because that's, you don't have to adjust it, you're just adjusting it by how much you pull the trigger. Got an LED light, it says right here. It's got shoulder strap mount. So I got the shoulder strap hooked up, and I'm actually wearing this grease gun. Check this out. Shoulder strap. I don't know if I'm doing this right. I ain't never wore a grease gun before. This is my first time wearing a grease gun, but I'm trying to look cool. So, I'm wearing a grease gun. I hope this thing works, because so far I like it. But if it don't pump grease, then what's the point? Like, you don't want to be the guy walking around wearing a grease gun that don't pump grease, you know? Like my old 380, I know this shoots bullets. I wouldn't pack this around if it didn't shoot bullets. So this thing here, it's got to pump grease. Got to. My Gerber, it does all kinds of stuff. I wouldn't pack this around if it didn't do stuff. That's why, like, you know, if I'm gonna wear the grease gun, it's got to pump grease. So we got grease coming out. Definitely grease. Yeah, got grease. Got them all greased, Miss Diane. Miss Diane come out on the porch. She's going to enjoy some sunshine today. Huh, Miss Princess? I got the grease. I pumped one full tube of grease into each one of those. And I think that's all I'm going to do to... That's all done. Until it's time to strap it down, and I'm gonna let it dry and cure as much as I can before I go touching it that harshly. So I gotta start thinking about making a plan to haul this stuff. And one of the things I realized about it's a pretty good trip. I've got to haul these to the center of the eastern panhandle of this state, and I was noticing how the tires on the front axle of this trailer suck, and the tires on the back axle don't look too bad. And I remember I took the two tires off the front of this and put on that trailer out there one time because the trailer tires on that trailer sucked, and I wanted to use that one to take it, I think, to the camp up in PA. So I took the tires off the front of this and put on that at that time, and I need to reversalate that action. Yeah, that's what I'm stinking right now. I'm stinking I better do a reversalation on that so that I've got the 4 best tires I've got here on this rig to go eastbound and down, loaded up and trucking. Enjoying the sunshine. Jack. Going to put these lug nuts back on this side, and I'm noticing a couple that, see, when I do that, it don't want to go. What you got on these old trailers, that beveled into your lug nut will kind of get squished around, and it'll get de-shaped. It'll get out of shape just right on the end, and you start, and you're not far enough on yet to be sure that you're straight. If that happens, look, don't jam that thing on there. You got that lug nut. If you got you need to get a tap. Handle fell out of that. Let's put that back in there. If you got the tap that's the right size, usually this side won't be hurt. It's this side that's boogered up. The side you need to start on there. If you got that tap and you go into your good side, see, it's going to go like it's going fine. And you can just run that. So I went into the good side, and that gets you nice and straight on that tap. And when that tap runs through the good threads and comes out right here, let me just show you. I bet that fixed that up. Flip this back. Now let's see what happens now. And I'm doing this with my left hand. See, look at that. See, if you run that on there when it's bad and you booger up that stud, then you just made a whole bunch of work. You know, don't mess up stuff like that. And you know, if you tap threads in steel a lot, you might need some really good taps. But I tell you what, just for chasing threads that are already existing, just one of them kits from Harbor Freight, you know, it's all you need. Got the tires swapped out. The best 4 tires I got are on this trailer. I checked the air in them. They were all a little bit low. It says 65 PSI max on them. So I put 66 pounds in them because that's just how I do shit. So I'm not hauling them right now, and they're not cured enough to strap them down. But I think they'll stay on here good enough for me to do a little test. So I'm going to hook this thing up. I'm going to hook it to the super service truck. And I'm going to take it down the road. Now with this thing hooked up, I'm just going to do a little test. I want to see how the brakes work, and I'm really curious about the way that trailer's loaded. It seems like, looking at it, it seems like there's a chance that those posts at the back of the trailer could lift a little bit of weight off my tongue. And if you don't have enough tongue weight, you'll get a trailer that wants to fishtail on you. I'm going to go easy because I don't really have anything strapped down. But I think I can go on the road enough to get a feel for the trailer and see how my trailer brakes are doing and see if I'm going to get any fishtailing. Those pipes being at the back like that seems like something that could make the thing fishtail. But when I pick the tongue of the trailer up with the hoist, and when I've moved the trailer with the forklift, it feels like I got good tongue weight. So what I'm hoping is the way I'm loaded right now, I think maybe even though there's a fair amount of weight behind the axle because of the way that those posts are there at the back. Still, I think the gates at the front are plenty heavy enough that that's dealing with it. But I got a patch of 4-lane, you know, close to the shop, close enough I can run out here and walk down the road with her and see how she feels. Now, that was a good enough ride down the 4-lane to tell me I'm not going to have anything with fishtailing. I feel the trailer brake's working, but I don't think I'm running enough gain. I'd say 4, we're good. We're good. I just got to decide how long I'm going to wait before I'm willing to say that that's cured enough to strap it down, or I guess say that I don't want them sitting in my lot anymore and I'm ready to go. I'd love to let them sit there for a week or more, but you know, I need to get them hauled to where they're going to, and I don't know that it's really going to help that much because, you know, like I say, I'm doing my best effort to not get them scratched up, but they're going to get beat up. You know, by the time they're installed, there's definitely going to be some touch-up work, and I made the customer aware of that, and that's about all I can do. So anyway, we're headed back to the shop. We'll park it. Supposed to have some decent weather this week. It'll be a few days in the 50s, and everything has been in the shop overnight with the shop heated, so the beginning of the curing is definitely well underway, and we'll park it and get back to it when we're ready to deliver. What are you doing? Get out of the road.